but at the time, every hour, even every minute, had dragged interminably. Progress, seen day by day, had been painfully slow, with painful being the appropriate word. However, I was now able to walk reasonably well on an artificial foot, and whereas I wouldn't be playing football again for a while, if ever, I could climb up and down stairs unaided, and was mostly self-sufficient. I might even have been able to run a few strides to catch that bus, if only I had wanted to go wherever it was bound. I looked around me. No one had turned up to collect me, nor had I expected them to. None of my family actually knew I was being discharged on that particular Saturday morning, and quite likely they would not have turned up, even if they had. I had always preferred to do things for myself, and they knew it. As far as my family was concerned, I was a loner, and happier for it, perhaps the more so after having to rely for months on others for help with my personal and private bodily functions. I wasn't sure who had been the most shocked, my mother or me, when a nurse had asked during one of her rare visits if she could help me get dressed. My mother had last seen me naked when I was about 7, and she was more than a little flustered at the prospect of doing so again 25 years later. She'd suddenly remembered that she was late for an appointment elsewhere, and had rushed away. The memory of her discomfort had kept me smiling for most of the rest of that day, and I hadn't smiled much recently. In truth, 251-98241, Captain Thomas Vincent Forsyth, had not been the most patient of patients. The army had been my life since the night I had left home after another particularly unpleasant but not uncommon argument with my stepfather. I had slept uncomfortably on the steps of the army recruiting office in Oxford, and when the office opened at 9 a.m. the following morning, I had walked in and signed on for Queen and Country as a private soldier in her Grenadier Guards. Guardsman Forsyth had taken to service life like the proverbial duck to water, and had risen through the ranks, first to corporal, then to officer cadet, at the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst, followed by a commission back in my old regiment. The army had been much more to me than just a job. It had been my wife, my friend, and my family. It had been all I had known for 15 years, and I loved it. But now it appeared that my army career might be over, blown apart forever by an Afghan IED. Consequently, I had not been a happy bunny during the previous 4 months, and it showed. In fact, I was an angry young man. I turned left out of the hospital gates and began walking. Perhaps, I thought, I would see where I had got to by the time I became too tired to continue. "Tom!" shouted a female voice. "Tom!" I stopped and turned around. Vicky, one of the physiotherapists from the rehabilitation centre, was in her car turning out of the hospital parking lot. She had the passenger window down. "Do you need a lift?" she asked. "Where are you going?" I said. "Well, I was going to Hammersmith," she said, "but I can take you somewhere else if you like." "Hammersmith would be fine." I threw my bag onto the back seat and climbed in beside her. "So they've let you out then," she said, while turning into the line of traffic on Roehampton Lane. "Glad to see the back of me, I expect," I said. Vicky tactfully didn't say anything. So it was true. "It's been a very difficult time for you," she said eventually. "It can't have been easy." I sat in silence. What was she after? An apology? Of course it hadn't been easy. Losing my foot had, in retrospect, been the most straightforward part. The doctors, first at Camp Bastion in Afghanistan, and then at Selly Oak Hospital in Birmingham, had managed to save the rest of my right leg, so that it now finished some 7 inches below my knee. My stump, as all the medical staff insisted on calling it, had healed well, and I had quickly become proficient at putting on and taking off my new prosthetic leg, a wonder of steel, leather, and plastic that had turned me from a cripple into a normal-looking human being, at least on the outside. But there had been other physical injuries, too. The roadside bomb had burst my eardrums and had driven Afghan desert dust deep into my torn and bruised